Hi, welcome to this webinar, the killer combination, how to merge SEM and SEO for e-commerce 2020. And welcome to Tobias.
Hi, thank you. Very nice to be here. Glad to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you for taking the time. Before we start, please tell us a bit more about yourself and Pixel.
Okay, so I've been working as an SEO consultant now for 3 years. First at MediaMind in Uppsala, and then at Pixel during the last year. And at Pixel, we only work with SEO, so we specialize solely on SEO because we think that gives us an edge compared to our competitors. And last year, this actually paid off because we were awarded at the SEMrush Nordic Search Awards as the best agency.
That's great. That's really good. And I think really, like you said, one thing that really strikes me when every time I meet somebody from Pixel, I really see that, all of you are really focusing on building an expert knowledge within SEO. And I think that's the way to actually stay competitive today, to really focus on one thing and do that extremely well.
Definitely. We are all very passionate about SEO, and kind of Google always keeps you at your toes, or on your toes, so you can only have to focus on SEO.
Yeah, great. Super happy to have you here. And the agenda for today, I will start sharing some of the new insights regarding Google Ads and Google Shopping for e-commerce 2020. And then Tobias, you will continue talking a bit more about maximizing organic traffic.
Yes.
And then we will also finalize the discussion about really how you can combine organic and paid search together. So with that, let's step into the intro. And I think we both work a lot with e-commerce companies,
yes.
and we definitely see the same type of challenges on many of them, right?
Yeah, and the same type of questions like, do these two channels cannibalize each other?
Yeah.
And the answer for that is sometimes, but not always. No. It's kind of about understanding kind of the unique aspects and how to kind of maximize traffic from each of these different types of channels. And today we're going to talk about two of those.
Yes.
SEM and SEO.
Yeah. And I really like what you say, Tobias, about like putting the customer in the center and focusing on them. So if you split these different channels up, and if you look at it from a customer's perspective, so look at a customer funnel, you start with some kind of awareness stage, you consider to buying something, and then of course in the end of the purchase phase, you should always think about the different channels, like where are they really and where are they most effective, and then really make sure that you stay really competitive in each one of those stages, right?
Yes, definitely. I completely agree. Like that's the best way to kind of go about everything.
Yeah, and also like we said on the last slide, it's not about cannibalizing. It's really about making sure that you optimize each one, also to be minimizing your risk. Because for example, if you have on one of your markets, suddenly a big competitor steps in and really start paying a lot for some of your most important products, for example.
Or Google launches a big SEO update, and you lose all your organic kind of visibility.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really important to keep the different channels on the toes all the time, so you can minimize the risk and you don't get hit by things like this, because they will happen.
Yes.
And most of you have been in the business for a long time. You have seen a lot of different hits like this.
Yeah. So it's important to kind of remember that they are not directly always cannibalizing each other. They are more or less complementing each other.
Yeah. So let's look at how can you actually use them together to actually accelerate experiments that you are doing. So with this simple model in 3 steps, we think it's a great tool to think about how you really can combine them together.
Yeah, like for instance, like with Google Ads, if you already kind of use Google Ads, you can get a lot of insights into which keywords you kind of want to target organically as well. Like you can go into Google Ads or Google Analytics if you attach those two, and see which keywords are actually kind of bringing in the most revenue, and then kind of start building your organic based on that information, rather than just kind of basing it on just keyword research and search volume.
Yes, yes. And of course, when you have the hypothesis for what content you want to create, if it's like 5 or 10 or 20 or 100 category pages, for example, then, you know, instead of waiting until the organic traffic picks up on that, really, you know, start buying traffic for 1 month and see, okay, do I get the return of investment on this? Do it work? And then if you see it's working, okay, then you can go to step 3 and really expand, build more content and build all the links you need, so you can really make sure that you are spending time on the most relevant content to create.
Yes, definitely. And once you kind of reach those top 3 positions, it could be a great idea to kind of reduce the amount you kind of spend on those keywords in paid as well.
Yeah, exactly. And then go back and use paid where it is built for, and really to make sure that you are optimizing for close to the purchase. And most of the clients that we see, they have more than enough just to focusing on close to the purchase phase with paid. So make sure to use Google Shopping and search for those area, and then use this as a tool to accelerate your experiment and be more accurate when you build your long-term SEO strategy.
Yeah, and or you could use those funds to kind of try or start everything over and find new keywords to target.
Yeah. So we will come back to how to combine it, but if we dig into looking at Google Ads and shopping for e-commerce and retail for 2020. So one thing that we see is that Google Shopping is taking a lot more space, and also with there's a lot of more companies now that work with smart shopping, for example, and something that we have seen in the research that we have done is that smart shopping is taking a lot more space, and Google is trying to use that to show it to even wider search queries. And that is something that is really important to be really accurate on, and make sure to find if it's connected to your products or not. So why pay for brand traffic when I could get it for free? I think that is a question that we get a lot, right? And I think it's a really good question. But also, like we said in the beginning here, it's not about, you know, you should only go with one channel. It's really to look at them as a complement to each other, and really make sure that you combine them together. That's really important. So looking at this example here, for example, if somebody's searching for Nike Air Max, for example, and as you see, you know, this is a branded search if you would be Nike, right? But of course, you also see that there's shopping is really on top here. That's the first thing that you see, and we have had examples where people search for like miniature boats, for example, and then we have companies on shopping ads where they actually shopping starts to show their products to this, even if they sell like interior design furniture, maybe with a boat on. So it's really, you really need to be super careful and make sure that you are using paid search and Google Shopping in an efficient way, and always cutting away the traffic that, you know, it's not relevant for you, because, you know, if you're out buying spare part for a boat, that's not what you want to be shown for. And this is another example as well. So for example, if you would be a company selling bulletproof, which is a high performance supplementary drug, can you say? For example, in Sweden we had the Melodifestivalen, and one of the songs was Bulletproof, right? Well, you will start getting a lot of traffic that is not relevant to you at all. And of course, that's really important to make sure that, you know, this thing is like impossible to think about before they happen. But if they happen, you need to be super fast on make sure to cut away the traffic that is not relevant to you. And we've also done studies on looking on evaluating different types of benchmark. So, for example, conversion rate and total sales or revenue. Of course, it's really important. So, for example, here for many e-commerce companies, we see that the conversion rate on brand traffic organic is around like 0.9%. and we typically see that we can get quite low on revenue on that, compared to if you run your paid search on brand traffic, where you can really tailor the message. You have your unique offers that you're running this week, for example, and you really make sure that you are on top of that. You typically see that you have a very high return of investment, and typically the cost for this is very low compared to the total cost of your paid search. So that is something that we see is really important to evaluate. And of course, do the analysis for yourself, right? And then I think it's also important to look at different ways of paths. So for example, somebody that first came in on an organic search, do they come back on a paid search, which we would call, cannibalism? And we typically see that number is very, very low. So many times, percentage of total sales is actually around like 0.5, 0.4%, which is really a low number. And then it makes sense to continue doing the strategy that you are doing. And then the other way around is actually looking into what we call the spillover effect. That means that, for example, you come in on a paid search, and then you come back through some other parts of channel. Could be organic, could be direct, could be some other channels. And typically, this is what we see on many of the e-commerce companies, that the amount of revenue coming in from the spillover effect is actually really high. So around like 12%, which is really good, because that means that the paid channel is actually adding more to your bottom line than what you actually measure. And typically the cannibalism is typically low. If you collect all other channels and look at if you come back via full paid, it's probably quite low. But like always, do this analysis, make sure that you know your numbers, and of course also evaluate what attribution model are you using, so you really understand your business in detail. And some of the important parts that comes up for this year, it's of course you need to be even more focusing on the local offer. So if you are a retail company and you have your stores, that's going to be really important, because we see that the spikes in people searching for a store open near me are really spiking. So right now it's like 3.5 times more searches that people do like this, and we see that this will grow even more going into the future. So now you can start to measure this with what is called the store visit. So that means that if somebody clicked on your ad and then visit you in the store, you can start to estimate this value early on, which is great. But like many times, we are so focused on making sure that is it really getting the return on investment? Because like, do we only want to drive traffic to the page, or do we want to drive the right traffic that actually buy your products? I would argue that the second one is the most important, and it's the same thing with in-store as well. It's not just about driving everybody to the store, it's about driving the relevant people to the store. So you can also start measuring the sales directly in the store, and start estimating that as well, which I think is going to be really interesting for the future, when you can actually start speaking about return on ad spent actually on revenue generated offline as well, which we see some companies do with great success right now. And here are some of the options you have for being visible on local searches. So of course, search results, maps, and I know Tobias will speak a bit about this as well, how you can do this from the organic perspective as well. But of course, your business profile, display, and also on YouTube. And it's really to make sure that you think about how can I use this for my business, and make sure that you do this for the relevant users that you see come back for you. So why should I pay when organic traffic is free? To summarize, it's about three things. So first, the cost for the paid traffic on typical brand traffic is typically very low. Second thing is that you have a really high control, where it means that you can cut away with negative keywords, work really in detail with your match type and also on your audience list, and also make sure that you, even in the feed management, you should really be careful, because Google Shopping is starting to show a lot broader than it did for a couple of months ago. And then your branded searches, that is your billboard, that is your big window to your store. So make sure that you have your best offers out there, and make sure that you always have them updated. That's really important, and that is something that we see a lot of people miss out on. So here are some numbers that we are very proud of. So we helped Let's Deal, which is one of the biggest marketing places for limited time offers in Scandinavia, and they had a really clear focus on growing non-brand revenue, so new customers from them. And so happy to see that, making their revenue grow year over year with 320%, and at the same time increase profitability from the paid channel with 27%. We think we're super proud of this, and it's a great proof of the results you can get when you're really focusing on the core and solving that in a great way. So to summarize what we do at Keywordio, we are like Pixel, but we are really focusing on the paid search. So Google Ads, Google Shopping, and everything within the Google Ads ecosystem. And we build AI technology that is on top of Google Ads, and then we have highly specialized people that manage that for our customers. So that's really how we work. And we also say that it's not about machines, it's really about the combination human plus AI. That's really the key. So last year we made more than 93 million changes for our customers' advertising accounts. So we're really proud of that number. It's a big number, and there's a lot of things that needs to be done, and that could have been done if we did everything manually. And if you would like to read more about that, you can read from Morten, our founder. Google Think did an article and an interview with Morten for, I think it was last week, that was released. So you can go in and read that. It will tell you a bit more about the future of this. And in the age of automation, we believe that humans are more important than ever.
Thank you. That was really interesting, especially the part about both humans and kind of machines, because that's very true for organic search results as well, when you have to optimize for potential customers and search engine bots as well. So I'd like to kind of focus today on the more practical aspects of SEO, like when you found a keyword that you want to rank for, how do we actually do it? So in this case, I'm going to continue from where Jonas left off, like with the Nike Air Max example. And this kind of data you can get from Google Ads or Google Analytics, where you can actually see which search query actually brought in the most revenue. And those are the keywords you kind of want to focus on. And it might just not be revenue, it might actually be other types of conversions, like clicks on certain links, subscriptions to newsletters, and so forth. So today we are going to focus on SEO in 2020, how to maximize your organic traffic. And these days there are so many different types of devices you have to optimize for. And today we are going to be talking about some of them. So first off, I want to kind of start discussing about how SEO differs from Google Ads. And in the search results, as many of you have probably seen, and as Jonas also showed, like the paid results are usually the ones that come up first, and the organic results are usually below these. And it's usually the most, or the top three organic results that get the most clicks. It's around 75% of all clicks that go to organic results are to those top three. There are no ad logos, and it takes a lot of time to kind of reach those top positions, which is kind of different from Google Ads, where you can reach the top positions just by paying and immediately. But there's no cost involved. You don't have to pay for any clicks. You don't lose your visibility. When you stop paying for your ads, but you can't be as specific. You can't pick your own landing pages for your keywords. This is something Google does based on a bunch of different factors, which most important are kind of relevancy and links. And you can't specify your audience. So it's for everyone that searches for a certain search term. So why would you want to optimize for organic results then? We see that the click-through rate is higher than for paid results. The organic results get around 61% of all the clicks that come from a specific search query. 30% is around 30% is no clicks at all. These are usually misspellings or kind of people not finding what they are looking for and kind of choosing another query. And around 5% go to the paid results. And there are about 40,000 searches every second in Google. So that's a lot of potential traffic that could be going to your website. And it also scales very well. So something you do for one product page, you can actually kind of scale for each and every product page on your website. So how do we then do this? First of all, something that's been a big kind of topic during the last years in search has been kind of optimizing for search intent. And in SEO, or in the SEO business, we focus on 3 types of searches. One is navigational. When you search for a specific website like Google, then Google knows that you are actually looking for this website. That's why some companies are kind of focusing on buying up those exact match websites. Then there are informational searches, where people are just kind of searching for information about something like what is SEO, for example. And then last but not least, we have transactional searches when you are searching for a specific product or service like Nike Air Max 720s. So if we want to kind of rank for this keyword like Nike Air Max that we identified earlier, so how do we go about it? So first of all, we talked about the top 3 positions bringing in the most traffic earlier. And this is very important to keep in mind, like you actually have to get into the top 10 to actually bring in any traffic. And that is going to take a long time, especially considering for more competitive keywords, where there are large companies that are competing for the visibility for these. So it highly depends on which keywords you are trying to target. The first thing you need to do is kind of make sure that your page is accessible to Google, Bing, and other search engines. And you can use a lot of different tools for this. We usually recommend Bing Webmaster Tools and Google Search Console because these tools are going to give you a lot of information about the page, like if there are any errors or if Google can't access or Bing can't access the page. And if so, you can start in 2 places looking for issues. One is the robust.txt, are you blocking traffic from bots? And no index meta tags that you can apply to your pages that also keep the search engine from accessing your pages. And if you see in the report that everything is okay, you can just press request indexing and Google and Bing will index the pages automatically. Then there are the meta tags. The meta tags are the text that show up in the search results for a specific search for your page. And there are 2 types of meta tags that are very important. These are the page title and meta description. The page title is a ranking factor, signals relevancy, and affects your click-through rate. The meta description is not a ranking factor, but keywords are highlighted in the search results that are contained in the meta description. So you actually want to kind of make sure that your keywords are in the meta description as well. And the meta description, of course, affects your CTR. So in this case, we might actually have a page title of Nike Air Max and the brand, and then kind of something like get your Nike Air Max sneakers from the official Nike store. Terms like official, authentic are important as signals to the potential buyer that you are actually selling the real deal. And then you can include something like fast shipping, great prices, mentioning your 30-day return policy, just so you can stand out from your competitors. Then when we go to the more specific things that you can do on page, the first thing you do is make sure that you have the right heading structure. So you only want one H1 on your page, and this should always include the most important keyword on your page. And then remember that an H2 always follows an H1, and H3 always follows an H2, and so forth. And in this case, we might want to use an H1 of Nike Air Max. So then we get to the more interesting part, like keyword research. So here we want to ask or answer the question of how do people actually search and what kind of information are they looking for. And we can use different tools for this. One highly recommended one is Google Ads Keyword Planner. This is data you get directly from Google. You can look at historical metrics to get the search volumes and also trends, like how many searches per month and so forth. You can also use tools such as Google Search Console to find out which keywords are actually bringing in traffic to your page, and Bing Webmaster Tools as well. And then you can also use Google to see which autocompletes when you start writing in something, which autocompletes are, and those are kind of searches that people have actually searched for before. And then you can use a plethora of other tools such as Href, SEMrush, Keyword Tool, whatever floats your boat, really. And then we get to the content bit. So now we've done our keyword research, we found the keywords that we want to target. So how do we create great content? So you don't actually have to be a kind of PhD in marketing to write great content. So having great content actually means that it is unique, it's relevant to the search query. We usually see that longer content actually prove to be better or perform better than shorter content. But always great to remember that quality always beats quantity. And it actually matters a lot how much of the written content is accessible above the fold. And this is the kind of region of your web page that the customer or visitor sees without scrolling. And just make sure that you actually answer all the related questions that your customers might have about the product or service. And you need to remember that you're writing for customers, not bots. But you also need to keep SEO in mind, of course, making sure that all of the relevant keywords are included. And you can always take inspiration from your competitors, see which pages are ranking in the top 10 for this search term, and kind of combine those texts into something even better. Content comes in other forms as well, not just text, and we see this a lot, like companies always forget about optimizing for image search. And image search has actually increased by 60% going from 2016 to 2018. So this is a really important channel, and Google are doing a lot to kind of improve the search results here as well. So here we want to make sure that the images are indexable. We need to give them descriptive file names, something like Nike Air Max.jpg or something like this. And we need to give them an alternative text. Because Google can't see what the images are about, we need to kind of give them a general description so that they actually understand what is shown in the image. And here at the bottom you can see an example how we can actually optimize an image. In this case, Nike Air Max shoes that are green. Then we can add something called structured data. And in this case, we are actually optimizing for bots. This is something that is only accessible for these search engine bots. It's not a ranking factor, but it can actually indirectly affect your ranking by helping search engines understand what your page is about, which is the most important aspect of the page, and what kind of page it is. And this can indirectly then increase your visibility in the search results. It can also help kind of Google understand what kind of page this is, and adjust the search results according to this. So you can actually take up more real estate in the search results. If you look in the image you're on the left, in the first result we haven't added any type of structured data. In the second one we see a product page where we added structured data for products. And in the lowest example, we see a page that has added frequently asked questions. So we can actually kind of answer questions directly in the search results. And this takes a lot of space, and this of course affects your visibility as well. And you can get a lot of resources and example of how you can add this to your own page in the link I've included on the slide. Jonas also talked about being local. These types of searches are increasing, and people are using Google Maps to find a lot of information about a lot of different things, including products where they can buy them. So we need to make sure that our Google My Business page is up to date, that we include the most important keywords for our business in the description, and sometimes even in the business name. We need to include images, and we've actually, or this is based on data from Google, that 6 out of 10 visitors actually look on our online page to see if our product is in stock in a physical store before visiting. So this kind of tells us that this is something that is really important, that we need to kind of keep both channels in mind when optimizing local as well. Then we have backlinks, and the links are still very important for ranking well in the organic search results, because these bring in PageRank or a link juice to your page, and they kind of work like a recommendation, like an external page is actually recommending your page or product. And this is something Google and Bing and almost every search engine out there kind of uses for evaluating which page to show in the search results for a specific query. And this is actually true for internal links as well. They are very important because the link juice that comes in through these external links are then divided equally among all of the internal links on that specific page. And here it's the same thing as with content. Quality is always more important than quantity. So making sure that you actually get quality backlinks is very important for ranking well in the organic search results. And when it comes to tools to kind of evaluating which or how many links we kind of need to rank for certain keywords, we recommend or have noticed that Ahrefs has the best data when it comes to links. They don't have all the data. They are not as good as Google, of course. So you're going to see a lot more links in Google Search Console than you do in Ahrefs when you do a search. But here it's also very important kind of to remember that kind of build a brand that people and companies want to be associated with, because that's going to help a lot when you're kind of trying to build these quality backlinks. Then we also need to focus on user experience. What happens when we get a visitor to our site? So we usually get a lot of questions about kind of load times, page speed from our customers, and they ask what is a good load time for a web page. So Google did a big kind of research where the respondents said that they want a page that loads quicker than 3 seconds, and 50% of these said that if a page takes longer than 3%, they kind of bounce. So you're going to lose a lot of traffic if you have slow loading web page. This is not a really important ranking factor. We've seen a lot of slow pages ranking better than faster ones. So it's not that you should kind of prioritize, but it does affect the conversion rate a lot. So make sure that your page loads quickly. And you can actually, Google have added a new feature in Google Search Console that's called Speed, where you can actually see how your pages are performing, and identify slow loading web pages. Then last but not least, data. Data is the key to success, and we have a lot of potential places where we can collect these kind of data and get actionable insights from. So we recommend that you use a rank tracker for your most important keywords, preferably a rank tracker that updates every day so you can get the latest information about how you're doing. Then we also highly recommend Google Search Console and Bing Web Merge tools. So if you don't use these two channels or products or tools, right now, I definitely recommend to go do that right now, because this will give you a lot of information about which keywords are bringing in traffic, issues with the web page, and so forth. And then, of course, Google Analytics or similar tool, Google Search Console and Bing Webmaster Tools, they are great at providing you information about how you appear in the search results, which keywords are bringing in traffic, but they tell us nothing about what the visitors do once they come in on your page. And this is why we want to use Google Analytics to track conversions, for example. And then, of course, last but not least, is Google Ads. Like, it's very important to use the traffic you get from Google Ads and information, so you can see which keywords are actually bringing in relevant traffic, which keywords are converting, and so forth. So the key takeaways from today is organic search results get more clicks, so that's why you want to kind of work with SEO and make sure that you are visible high up for your important keywords in the search results. It's highly scalable. It's very easy to kind of do one thing you do right for a product page and kind of apply it to every product page on your site. It's also free, you don't pay for your clicks, and it's a great way to build brand awareness as well. You find a lot of, especially if you fish with a net rather than a pole, so you target a broad set of keywords instead of focusing on specialized keywords. But it takes time. Patience is key. It's going to go up and down depending on how Google feels that day. It feels like they release a lot of new search engine updates every year. So you kind of have to keep on your toes and make sure that you're doing everything right. So how do we go about this then? We make sure that the page is indexable. We improve relevancy by including your keyword in the page title and H1 on your page. You provide great and unique content. Don't forget about the images. You optimize for search intent by looking at which pages are ranking in the top 10 for the keywords you want to target. And you also need to optimize for local searches as well using Google My Business. And you need to collect the data.
Yes. Great. Thanks, Tobias. And to wrap this up, and really the main theme is really, like we said in the beginning, it's all about like make sure that you do everything you can for each one of the channels, so you have like minimizing the risk, and then coming back to the funnel. So this is a typical standard funnel for a customer for e-commerce. You have some kind of awareness stage, maybe you have some content here. Get people into the consideration phase where they actually, okay, I want to buy something from you. And then of course in the purchase phase, it's really to make sure that, you know, do you have all the information that you need to have on a product page? Do you have the right payment solutions for your countries? And of course, how do you treat your loyal customers? And if you look at on the left hand side, these are some of the suits that you can use within Google Ads to work on each step of the funnel. So typically high up you use YouTube and display, and you do that as smart as possible to target the one who has the highest likelihood of buying from you in the future. And then when you come into consideration, maybe it's more about what we spoke about in the earlier part, like, okay, can we do experiments on copy and landing pages that we can build out long term? And of course, do you have a positive return on ad spend that is working for you? Or do you have a great lifetime value on customers? Maybe it makes sense to actually pay for getting these people in as well. And of course, Google Shopping and be really accurate in close to the buying behavior. That's really, really key. And then on the right hand side, Tobias, it's your side.
Yeah, exactly. We only have the one kind of channel, and that's search, of course. So when we try to build brand awareness, for example, we try to kind of maximize or target kind of high volume of keywords rather than specific ones, specifically keywords with high search volume. And then in the consideration stage, we just make sure that we provide the right kind of information. We provide answers to questions. We target more specific keywords with maybe lower search volume, and make sure that we have the right type of content, of course. And then in the purchase stage, we work with product pages. We apply or implement structured data for products. We try to provide unique product information, so you shouldn't just copy what the manufacturer is saying about their products. You should always provide unique content, because this is going to provide you with a lot better visibility in search results. And we also work with image search as well, and local searches. For the loyal customers, we can't really do as much, but what we can do is provide the paid side with marketing lists based on the data we get from Google Analytics, for example, through the organic channels.
Yes. And then, like we mentioned in the beginning, also the 3-step model, how to actually accelerate your content production and make sure that you actually bet on the most interesting content that actually bring you in revenue in the end, right? Because it takes time to build up the organic traffic, and make sure that you bet on the right type of content and the long-term strategy as well. And with that, use Google Ads, because you have a lot of insights in there where you actually make money. Accelerate your hypothesis for the content. Run paid for a month and see, okay, do we actually get people buying from this, or what kind of behavior do we see? And then when you see that, then of course go all in and make this content even better. Like you said, I really like higher quality. Don't write for bots, write for people. Really.
Yeah, that's true for Google Ads and SEO as well.
Yeah, exactly. So go all in and really make something very, very good in step 3, and then make sure that you can keep focusing on the important part with paid search, and hopefully you can lower the paid part in this and get the organic traffic to really start picking up here and bring in that the value that you were guessing from the start.
Yeah, and you should always kind of not forget about the unique aspects of Google Ads as well. Like, just because you're ranking organically, like at the #1 spot, you can't forget about things like Google Shopping, which is unique to Google Ads. At this time, like Google are testing out some things in the US where they get organic search results that look exactly like Google Shopping ads, but it's not relevant to really right now.
So with that, everybody will get some bonus content after this, and you will get the UX playbook for retail. And we spoke a lot about content and how to write for the right people, and it's also, of course, have a high focus on what's the experience on your page is really important. And here you have a lot of great guidelines and ideas.
Yeah. And this is kind of Google's own recommendations.
Yeah.
So it's a collection of the things that Google wants you to focus on building, or they want to recommend for building a great user experience for your customers.
So I hope you got some new ideas that you start running to test already. And thank you very much.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to add me on LinkedIn or us on LinkedIn, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as we can.
Sure, cool. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.